had an experience many years ago in Sacramento, California, and it reminded me of something that Mahatma Gandhi said when he said that politics should be sacred. Now, he did not mean religious. What did he mean? Well, there were a lot of people in my audience that night, and during the question and answer period, somebody brought up something about the subject of abortion. And if you want a big psychic rip in a room, if you want to feel tension in a room, have somebody bring up the topic of abortion. So I had, I think, an understandable impulse, which was, let's get off the topic as quickly as possible. And then I remembered why we were there. We were there to have a conversation that went deeper, a conversation that was healing. And in order to do that, topics have to be able to come up. We can't just suppress what's really going on. We have to be able, not only as individuals, but also collectively as a society, to have real conversations, nuanced conversations, about sometimes very painful things, but in which we honor everybody's voice. So this is what I said. I suggested that we say a prayer. I suggested that we go into 2 minutes of meditation. I realized, and everybody realized, that there were people in the room very staunchly abortion rights, pro-abortion rights, and there were people very staunchly what they call pro-life or anti-abortion rights. And I mentioned that God doesn't really need our opinion. God doesn't really need our press release. That we would be better off doing, as they say in the East, coming to God with an empty rice bowl. Being as little children, emptying our minds and giving our minds that way to Spirit to fill. And that's what we did. We were quiet together in a meditative state for about 2 minutes, and we had surrendered our own opinions. Some of those opinions in all of us were passionate and strongly held, but we surrendered them for the sake of this experience. What happened after we came out of that meditative state was extraordinary. And a young man said to me the next day, he said, last night I felt like I was having an intimate conversation about abortion with 2,000 people in my living room. And I understood what he meant. Because the space created in the room was such that people spoke from such a deep level, both about the real reasons why they feel so strongly that there should be legal abortion in the United States, and some people spoke from such a deep place about why they passionately feel that there should not be legalized abortion in the United States. And what was very clear to everyone in that room was that both sides were heard by those who did not agree with them in ways that they had never been heard before. Now, it was interesting to me because usually when we think about abortion, we think, what's the answer? Is the answer that abortion be legal, or is the answer that abortion should not be legal? From a spiritual perspective, the answer is the answer with a capital A, the energy in the room that night. The space created when we all listened to each other with honor and respect, and we could listen from our hearts and hear from our hearts. That is a field of new possibility. That is what Gandhi meant when he said politics should be sacred. That's when, not just individually but collectively, we expand the way we think. Einstein saying, we will not solve the problems of the world from the level of thinking we were at when we created them. We were all together that night in a different kind of thinking. Love informed our thinking. Mutual honor and respect informed our thinking. Deep listening and non-judgment informed our thinking. And there is absolutely no doubt in my mind, and I don't think there would have been any doubt in the minds of anyone in the room that night. Such creativity can come from that space. New ideas, new realms of problem solving. Something that perhaps we haven't seen yet, but that we will see once we get to that place, not just individually, but together.